For many, the legendary K-80 receiver really doesn't need an introduction. It has had many trips to the podium of national championships. However, even great things like the K-80 Sporter can evolve, potentially into something to bring those desiring a livelier gun exactly what they're looking for. Something time-tested but new. Something robust but nimble. Something capable of moving quick while remaining balanced. That is the Krieghoff K-80 Parcours. So join me for an in-depth overview of the K-80 Parcours with Will Fennell of the Fennell Shooting School. This is the part of the video where I ask you to hit the like and subscribe button. It truly helps the YouTube algorithm grow the channel and enables me to keep bringing you quality content. It's free for you, means the world to me, and helps us create that Clay Lab network that we've all been looking for.
Okay folks, here with Jeremy from the Clay Lab today. We decided we ought to go over a little review of the gun that I choose to shoot, the K-80 Parcours. I've been shooting this gun now for almost 10 years. Really like this format gun. I love the brand. Krieghoff is known for its durability and their excellent service over the long term. Great company to work with, super quality products. But they have really three principal models for the sporting clays world. They're all three K-80s. They have the K-80 Pro Sporter, which has got the raised adjustable rib, shot by Gebbon and Karen Miles. They've got the Sporter, which is also a split barrel design, has a slight raised rib in the rear. Lots of great shooters shoot that. My buddy Mike Luongo, for instance, shoots the K-80 Sporter, and many people all over the world prefer that format. Then there's the K-80 Parcours, and it was a little bit of a departure for Krieghoff. Sporter and the Pro Sporter are known to be kind of big, steady guns. The barrels have some heft to them. You feel like, you know, your swing doesn't slow down because you got that momentum going. But, you know, there's no free lunch. That means when you have transition to a second target, it's a little more difficult to get that gun turned around and going in another direction. Also, they had either a slightly raised or, in the case of the Pro Sporter, a very raised rib. So when they came out with the Parcours, the big change was the barrels. The receiver is the same. The K-80 is a K-80. You could take this gun apart and rebuild it into a K-80 trap gun, for instance. So the receiver is the same, but the new barrels have a true flat rib, okay, and they have soldered together barrels. And you would first think that the soldered together barrels, the ribs there, would make the barrels heavier, but because they have support from the side ribs, they can make the barrels much thinner. So the overall barrel weight actually decreases dramatically. So you end up with a gun with a true flat rib, which a lot of us prefer the dynamics of flat rib and looking over a flat rib at the target. That's really important to me. But you end up with a little bit lighter barrels, quite a bit lighter. Matter of fact, the 32-inch fixed choke Parcours is pretty much the lightest 32-inch barrels on the market today for a sporting clay gun. They have a couple of different formats for the Parcours. You can get it in a 28-inch, 30-inch, 32-inch, and a 34-inch barrel. They also, for some people that felt like the Parcours barrels became too light, for instance, they make the Parcours X, which is the same tubes, but the rib width is a bit wider and thicker, and it adds a little weight back to the barrel. So it becomes about halfway in weight between the standard Parcours barrels and, for instance, the K-80 Sporter barrel. So it gives somebody that happy medium if that's what they're looking for. You can get the standard Parcours in fixed chokes, or you can get it with Krieghoff Thin Wall, KTW chokes. And that's the way the Parcours X comes. Personally, I like the fixed chokes. I like the lighter barrels. It gives me a very neutral handling gun. When I'm in the FTAS ready position, I feel like both hands are holding a kind of an equal amount of weight, which makes the mount much smoother and easier to accomplish, in my opinion, in my style of shooting. So, big fan of the K-80 Parcours. Big fan. So folks, this particular K-80 Parcours is my personal gun. It's a heritage scroll engraving pattern. I love it. It's all hand done. It's got nice little gold borders. This particular one, most of the hand engraved ones will have a signature. So this one was engraved by Weiss in Germany. Pretty well known engraver over there. well laid out, not overdone, not underdone. It definitely shows off the engraver's skills. Personally, I like, this is a very personal thing, but I like scroll patterns on target guns, and I like gold birds and dogs and game scenes on hunting guns. So this fills the bill for me. There's some other great engraving patterns out there. There's the Heritage Game Scene, there's Gold Plantation, there's Super Scroll, there's Crown Grade. You can look at the Krieghoff website, Krieghoff.com, and there's a whole section on all the engraving patterns they offer. Some of them take quite a bit of time because they're all hand done. So if you order a Crown Grade, it might take a while to get produced, but you'll have a one-of-a-kind beauty, that's for sure, when they're done. This gun happens to have also stock, custom stock by Jim Greenwood, fit to my dimensions. Love the stock. Just so you know, I also have a factory stock here. The guns come standard from the factory with an adjustable cone. It's a very well-designed stock. I have a lot of luck fitting my students to this stock without any major alterations. Sometimes we have to add or subtract a little length, change the pitch a little bit, and then adjust the comb. It's a very intelligently designed stock, works very well. And if you see, kind of the same stock design that Jim uses, just this is built exactly to my dimensions. It's a super nice touch if you can handle it. Really, really enjoy working with Mr. Greenwood. He's by far, I think, the best fitter and stock maker in the country. This is the fore-end, not a schnabel. It's more of a very slender beaver tail. That's the standard fore-end that comes with the gun. So one of the things I wanted to show you is kind of why the barrels are so light and some of the adjustability. The barrels are super light because you can see how thin the barrels are without having to add the big fat choke tubes in the end. Also, because of the side ribs, they can make the barrel walls much, much thinner. These barrels, I have one barrel weight, is 40-gram weight added to help compensate for the bigger buttstock that I have. But without the weight, these barrels are about 1.4 kg. If you're used to Italian guns, they're all marked in kilograms. So this is about 1.4 kilograms. Parcours X barrels are about 156 kilograms. So it gives you a little boost up in weight for folks that want a little more weight in the front end. Krieghoff has these weight systems. You can get up to 3 of these in here. I just had one to help offset the extra wood that I have on the back. And again, they make this in 20 gauge and 28 gauge barrels also. Works out really well to give you a multi-gun arrangement, so you can cover lots of disciplines and lots of activities with one gun. Krieghoff, you know, K-80 is based on the old Remington 3200 series. Got sliding top latch, gives you lots and lots of strength on closing. It's a longer action, which the length here gives it a lot more rigidity than a shorter action, but it's also very narrow side to side, so it's an easy gun to see around. Exceptional triggers in the Krieghoff. One of the best things about it, trigger pull, just feels like a rifle. When your brain tells your finger to make the trigger move, it moves and the gun goes off. There's no creep, there's no smushiness, there's no gooiness to the trigger that can lead to flinching. There's not a lot of travel to the trigger, so it's really difficult for people to what they call trap the trigger, which is not release it far enough for the second shot. The trigger system on the K-80 is fantastic. They come standard from the factory with a lockout, so for competition I have my safety locked, so can't accidentally leave the safety on and lose the target because of that. You can also lock or unlock the barrel selector here. A lot of folks do that so they don't inadvertently start thinking about monkeying with the barrel selector. The standard barrels, or you can, of course, you can open it up. Both those things open up. If I go hunting with the gun, I release the detent for the safety, and the safety moves freely. The guns come, the standard Parcours barrel is fixed choke. They are modified and an improved modified, and modified in the bottom, improved modified in the top. I've measured a lot of these in American terms. They're usually about 21 to 22 thousandths in the bottom barrel, which is slightly more than what we call modified. And they're usually 28, 29 thousandths in the top barrel, which is more than we call improved modified. But that's the way that's what the German nomenclature is. Works out well, absolutely pounds targets, patterns beautifully. The KTW Thin Wall Choke Tube system patterns great also, and it offers you the versatility of screw chokes if that's what you desire. Personally, I like the fixed chokes because I like not thinking about doing anything other than shooting. I do use an occasional spreader shell, but not a lot. The system works out great. It gives me one gun that I can do a lot of things with, everything from shooting driven birds in England to shooting doves here to winning clay target tournaments. This gun's been very, very good to me. It's very, very durable. You get your gun serviced once a year, you just never have any problems. Everything seems to work snickety-snick, and a lot of very, very happy customers out here shooting this gun. With service in mind, Krieghoff is an industry leader in service when it comes to clay target shotguns. They have factory certified gunsmiths at Krieghoff International in Ottsville, Pennsylvania, plus a range of other factory certified gunsmiths around the country, based a lot of times at their dealers. You go to any major clay target tournament in the U.S. and they will be a factory certified Krieghoff gunsmith there. They have a program called their annual service. It's really about a 20 to 25,000 round interval service for most serious shooters. That's about once a year. And they go through the gun stem to stern. They take it completely apart, every pin, every screw, and they examine every pin, every screw. They replace all the springs. They bring everything back to factory, original factory tolerance. And when they hand it back to you at the end of the day, it feels like a brand new gun. And for all practical purposes, you have mechanically a brand new Krieghoff. You know, you have a nice car, you change the oil in it. You put new tires on it every now and then. You do preventive maintenance and you just don't have any problems. Krieghoff leads the industry in that level of service. All right, folks, so the light barrels, the narrow receiver, all this leads to, in the case of my personal gun, it's about 8 pounds, 4.5 ounces. That's probably a little light. If you look at, guns, other competitive guns out there, it's probably a little to the light side. But then there's the Parkour X if you want it to weigh a little more. There's a Sporter if you want it to weigh a little more than that. This is just the format gun that I enjoy shooting and I feel like I score the best with. The Parkour X does give you a little boosted weight. So they're usually a little over 8.5 pounds. They do soak up a little bit more recoil for sure. And people do like some people do like a little more weight in their lead hand. The X barrels give you that option. But the standard Parkour barrels give me a very neutral feel. Both hands are supporting the same amount of weight when I'm mounting the gun. And it's very nimble. It's like driving a sports car, not a dump truck. You can also get, which I have, small gauge barrels. I've got, of course, these are my 12 gauge barrels. I've also got 20 gauge and 28 gauge barrels. They all weigh within about a half an ounce of each other. So it makes it easy for me to shoot small gauge FTAS, for instance, or put the small gauge barrels on and go dove shooting. Great option that Krieghoff offers. A lot of the other gun companies, it's pretty difficult to find small gauge barrels to go on the 12 gauge frame. It's something Krieghoff has done for years. Highly value that level of service and that level of attentiveness to the market. Those guys, they just do an amazing job. Reason I prefer the Parkour, again, is the flat rib, the neutral balance, and then the legendary durability and service you get from Krieghoff. All right, folks, we had a little time to go over the K-80 Parcours today, and I just want to let you know, here at Fennell Shooting School, we're big fans, and if anybody is interested in potentially demoing one, taking a look at the Parkour, just talking about it, asking questions, feel free to contact me at will@fennellshootingschool.com. If you're in the area, we can arrange a demo. We work heavily with Rocky Creek Sporting Clays, which is a local Krieghoff dealer, and we can get you set up to demo. I'm also out in Texas 4 times a year at Westside Sporting Grounds, and if you want to get together there and talk Krieghoff or try shooting one out, we can work that out in advance. Give me a call or give me an email and let me know what you're interested in. Thank you much.
Thanks for joining us in this video. Be sure to check out some of the next videos coming up here on your screen, and know that you can always check us out on playlabusa.com, where we've got our videos, podcasts, and articles. So until the next one, we'll see you later.